We often get hung up on the idea that our loved ones should come back from rehab and be like they were before, just without drugs or alcohol. But that's unrealistic. They should be different. They should have different priorities like meetings and therapy and making new sober friends. They should be more open with you and willing to talk about their recovery. They should be taking recommendations from their doctors and therapists. Always encourage them to listen to professionals, but don't assume you know better or buy into their excuses. Therapists recommend things like sober living because they work. You both should follow the advice even when you're skeptical. And if you aren't seeing any real change in your loved one's commitment or openness, or if they started off well but you see them reverting back after a few weeks or months or even years, they've likely stopped taking their sobriety seriously, and a full-fledged relapse is only a matter of time, if it hasn't already happened. Speak up about suspicions. If you discussed a relapse agreement before or just after they got out of rehab, the conversation will be easier. But either way, approach them without judgment, knowing that they're more frustrated and beat down than you are that things aren't going well. But don't use that as an excuse to ignore red flags. Don't worry about offending them by bringing up the topic. Avoidance only damages your relationship and allows their addiction to take a firmer hold. The sooner a relapse is addressed, the less damage it can cause. A relapse should always include further treatment. That may mean going to sober living, using their therapy sessions, or coming back to rehab for a 14-day stabilization or even a full 30-day stay if the relapse is escalated. Don't accept anything less than a real plan to address a relapse or even to address the pre-relapse signs before they actually do relapse. Now let's switch gears and talk about the people that come out of rehab and do all the right things. In that case, it's time for you to forgive and rebuild your relationship. If they're sober and you're having a hard time accepting their apology or moving past the resentment, consider talking to your own therapist or going to a family counselor together, especially for spouses. Or address the issues directly with your loved one. Don't pretend like everything is fine if it's not. Being honest about how you feel is much better than stewing in resentment. They can feel that. Give yourself time to heal. It's okay to take things slow and take some space. And don't take on the burden of being their only support either. To stay sober, they will need friends and sponsors and professionals surrounding them. And you should continue to get your own support as well. Rehab isn't a cure. This is something that you both will have to deal with forever. Though, trust me, it gets so much easier over time.